Guten Tag, mein Liebens. Welcome to this edition of the S.H.O.P, the social hub of positivity. This one's a particularly poignant one, not because we have the wonderful Charlie Tedstone, who you'll get to know a little bit more in a minute, but it's because it's Rebecca's last... I can't do it. I'm feeling something. It's Rebecca's last little job for us before she goes away to university, to a life of hanging around coffee bars and talking very important stuff, everyone. Don't decry further education. But yes, we will miss you. We will. I will particularly, because I love.
Should we get on this side of the camera to say goodbye?
She's a fantastic actress. How we got to know Rebecca is because we work very closely with Wiltshire College, their media department, wonderful Nikki Dew, have done for years. So every year, when we can, we give work experience.
Great idea.
And how we give this one was when we did our film fair, we launched it at the Real Cinema, which you're part sponsoring the next one, so that's perfect. So because of the COVID, we actually did it online, and it was Rebecca's piece. So we saw her acting her own short film, and that's how she got her work experience. And then it went from work experience, and this doesn't always happen, to paid work, because she's particularly good. The ironic thing is, she doesn't want to do this. She's going to university to do English, aren't you?
Yeah.
Lovely. Which university?
Winchester.
Lovely. Great. Nice city. I had my tie cut off there once in a bar.
It's that sort of rough place. Don't wear a tie.
It's a nice tie. They put it on the wall.
That's still where I come from. That would get your house burned down. And that's why I've moved, because my house was burned down. I'm cutting ties off. Anyway, Rebecca, for me personally, and for all of us at Can Do Arts, we loved working with you, and we know that we'll work on other things later on in life, particularly when you can't do anything with your degree, but come back and work at Can Do. Only joking, of course you can. With a degree, you can go on and get another degree, and before you know it, you'll be in education for the rest of your life.
Good holidays. Good holidays, though.
Isn't it?
Good holidays.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. We need people to have rigour and scrutiny. Talking about rigour and scrutiny, I'm not really. This is Charlie Tedstone. For people around Chippenham, you'll know this character. He's an entrepreneur. He's also a, what do they call that thing? People that are kind. You know, philanthropist. Local, can't say it. People that are kind, I'm going to say. People that are successful who are kind. So he'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. But for the people that are watching this, because I know that people outside Chippenham watch it, he's just a guy. He's a guy like in your own town, yeah? Like in your own town, you might find a guy like this. Be lucky to, because I know Charlie from the wonderful Old Road Tavern. We better plug the Unlock Reset Festival, which you're helping us out with. Brian Reed, Andy Thatcher, wonderful people. Chippenham FM doing the party in the park.
Yeah.
You made sure that happened.
Yes.
I heard the whole
story.
Couple
of years. We sponsored it and really enjoyed it. And I think Brian and Andy do a great job.
Yeah.
As does the Odd Road. I think when I moved to Chippenham 8 years ago, one of the things that really came to life was the community aspect of Chippenham. I've never been in a town like it.
They don't cut your ties off.
They don't cut your ties off. I've got lots of ties now if anybody wants to borrow them, all in one piece. And you might notice I never wear them anymore.
I was going to say,
wow! Really, I'm dressed up today, especially for the game. In my fuchsia, obviously.
This is, when you see Charlie, you'll recognise him, not because of his wonderful face and adornment, but actually because he is possibly one of the coolest businessmen. Richard Branson, no, bruv. Richard Branson, yeah, like a spaceship, innit? Yeah, no, Charlie just walking with flip-flops, bruv. Yeah, you got your own island, he walks around this island as if he owns it. He loves it. It's good. No, it's great, and it's interesting because we talked previously, myself, you, Donna, about the principle. Tell us. So it's Co-Buy is your latest.
Yes. So when we say latest, it's been 8 years in the design.
Yeah.
When I moved back to the UK, the housing crisis hit me quite hard. In so much that people can't afford to buy houses anymore, and Shelter have done a lot of work on home buying, and it really changes people's perceptions around their own life. and how they look at their own life. It adds security. It's better to bring up children when you own your own home, and lots of educational things around that as well. And young people and older people now aren't getting that opportunity. My history was in banking, so you can hate me now. But actually, I've turned that. I've turned that around and decided to, when I came back to the UK, to use those skills to help people. So, what it is the government have a version called shared ownership. We do the same thing. The government version, you get given a house. There's certain houses you have to choose. We let anybody choose their own home. It's cheaper than renting a house. It's cheaper than buying a house outright. Well, cheaper than renting, cheaper than buying a house outright. And we also know now that the people that can't qualify for the shared ownership schemes that the government run and subsidise can actually qualify for us. So wow. It's better than the government scheme, although it's not funded by the government, and it gives you more choice. And we're going nationwide this year. We worry a little bit about how much money we need, because if we have 8,000 applications, which isn't very many, because there's 4.7 million people that can't afford to buy a house.
Wow. Really?
If we have 4.7 million people, which equates to 2.7 million houses that are short. If we have 8,000 applications, we need to write a cheque for £1 billion.
Yeah.
So we're soft launching, and word of mouth will probably do the rest. I think you can go on the website, which I'm sure you'll put details.
Yeah, we will. Make sure we got that. Co-buy.
Co-buy.
Co-buy. Co-buy and multiply.
If you just Google it, you'll see something with a purple and a green livery. That's us.
Livery, you say? As long as you don't bring ties and cravats into this conversation.
Obviously, I voted for pink. But they weren't having it.
Yeah. No, you should have. I like it. The cerise or whatever it is. I have a philosophy about housing. I don't think there is a housing. Are you just talking about new buys now, a new build? So it has to be a new build.
No. With us, you can choose any house you want.
Perfect. Thank God, because I was going to have not a disagreement with you, but a thing I couldn't. For me, there's a housing shortage in this country. There's a house ownership if it needs, because in Europe they don't really own houses as much, do they? It's a different philosophy. However, I get what you're saying. If you're renting or you happen to be part of a housing association or wherever it is, the idea that somehow whatever we deem our circumstances might change, and it's happened to me a few times where the landlords decided they want to buy because the housing market's either this, that or the other, or they're retiring or they've died and it's an inheritance for their children. All well and good. However, with such a thing so important as housing, I don't believe if everyone had to have a house before anyone else could have two, right? So you couldn't make money. You could, because you're doing a good thing. You're saying, look, we're going to help you buy whatever house you want. But the idea, environmentally, ecologically, and the and you know it better than anyone, I guess, but you know it from a different angle. I don't believe in the economy. I don't believe in the stock market. It's an illusion. There's too many facts about it, all the crashes and stuff. It's basically a gamble. People shouldn't be gambling on housing, education, and health. None of those things should be private, in my humble view. Humble my ass. But the idea that if we had a law in this country that you couldn't buy to make profit, so people say, "Oh yeah, but I'm helping." You're not. If you've got more than one house, if you own more than one house, you ain't helping anyone. Generally, you're doing a different thing. I'm not saying you. You are capitalising on someone else's need. We shouldn't be able to capitalise on a basic thing like shelter. But what you're doing,
that's all right.
You're saying, the house I'm living in now, if that was on the market, I'd come up to you and say, Charlie, what are you drinking? Malbec, you say. Come on, you beast! What? How would it be?
So if you saw a house, you just come along to the website. We put you in touch with the mortgage people. We'd approve you first. If you can get the mortgage, we'll approve you. It's as simple as that. Which is less rigorous than the housing associations do. Right. We have a couple of rules, ironically. The only two rules we have.
No ties.
You can't have more than one. It has to be your principal place of reference.
Perfect.
So I totally agree with you, because we don't want people to piggyback and build a buy-to-let portfolio, because that's not fair.
Exactly.
You can choose any house.
What do I need though? What do I need? A deposit? What is it? Is it based on the price of the house?
So if the house is worth £100,000, you tell me how.
Where's that house? Don't say calm, everyone.
If the house is worth £1 million, no. If the house is worth £100,000, easy maths. You come to me and you say, I want to buy somewhere between 25% and 75% of it.
Yeah.
We then give you the absolute right in your lifetime to buy the rest of it whenever you want.
Yeah.
If you want to sell it, then we'll make an offer for you. If you don't like it, just go and sell it and then pay us what you owe us.
Yeah.
But generally people do 50-50.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to have a mortgage. You can get 100% mortgages. The Kent Reliance do them at the moment.
Yeah.
So the principle being is that it's actually cheaper than renting probably the house you're in.
Yeah.
And we know it's cheaper than buying it outright because you're not paying the capital repayments on the whole of the property. So it's cheaper than renting. It's cheaper than buying outright. Generally it's about 80p in the pound. So if you're paying £100 rent, you could probably, if you bought it, you'd be paying, with the mortgage you have and us, you'd be paying about 80p. So
you're saving.
So you're saving money. It's cheaper than renting, which is great.
So why is this an initiative that you've come up with, you and your colleagues?
I designed it.
Right. So that's why I was going to say. So how come everyone else isn't doing that?
There's a number of banks that have tried and failed.
Yeah.
I won't name them. Number of companies that have failed. It's my specialism was capital markets, and I've designed the income streams that sit out the back, and they're worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we don't make any profit from the houses at all. In fact, we lose money.
So why do you do it?
Because you make profit at the back end with the income. So it's
when they sell.
No, when we sell the income stream. So for example, if the house is worth 100 and you buy 50 from us and you rent the other 50, that rent is valuable to me, and that's what I get. That's my bit in piece of cake, if you like. And the rent is interesting because we don't put the rent up in line with the house price. Yeah. Because that house price can go up quite fast and that might be a problem. Right. So what we do is we put the rent up in line with inflation. Because everybody could understand inflation. It's on the BBC every month. So once a year you get a letter from us that says, inflation's 2%, your rent's going up by 2%.
Yeah. Is that on a yearly basis?
On a yearly basis. So once a year it goes up, our rent goes up with inflation, which is but it goes up slower than the house prices.
Yes.
So actually, which is really interesting, it's a form of rent capping, and they have that in America. Yeah. And the government have wanted to bring it over here, but they've never been able to because of all the buy-to-let people. Right. But we've actually surreptitiously bought it in under the radar because we're only putting it up in line with inflation. So that helps people as well. So in real terms, the rent stays the same.
So is your ideology, was it, I want to design, knowing your background in banking, knowing about, the horror stories, no doubt, what that's about. However, are you looking at it from a person that's got that background, got that experience, and trying to design something which is fairer and a kind of a win-win situation? You're not trying to be, a massive capitalist. Which, whatever about that. But are you motivated by the idea that you're helping people to?
I think it comes from my history. So my father, bless him, he's ancient now, but he always did a lot of charity work. Yeah. When I was a kid, and I'd always helped him. So I think that ethos has filtered down the family. Yeah. My son's very into the environment and stuff, Thomas. He's a big influence on me. And when I moved back to the UK, I was a single father. So I spent a lot of time with him, raising him. I had to be there after school. Yeah. So the design work I actually quite enjoyed. The design of the mathematics side I actually quite enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was about to say, I totally get it. Anyone that was in a maths lesson with me will go, no, you liar, Ed, you never got it. But I do know that some people see it as quite a pure, it's almost like art, that they love.
If you ask some of the greatest artists in the world, they were great mathematicians. So
Leonardo being the golden section.
Absolutely.
It was the actual, and lots of architecture on the golden, what do you call it, the golden quotient, the golden section, the whole about composition and structure of all nature as well, and space. It is amazing, isn't it?
And you can see
good
mathematicians, or unusual mathematicians, they can see patterns in numbers that most people just go, well, it's just numbers. Yeah. They actually see pictures, which is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. So you love maths, big stuff.
I do. I'm not saying I'm very good at it.
No, it's not competition.
I can do 2 + 2. I can do 2 + 2.
Yeah, good. But so you were into that, so you can kind of work out formula then. You go, oh wait a minute, if we just did that and that, then you've got this situation. I'm going back to the housing. You can make your bit. The people aren't paying as much as they would. Certainly not, and I like the idea. Anything that gives somebody their ownership. Yeah. Not that I'm confused. Not confused. I'm conflicted about ownership. I understand what you're saying about it completely, but then there's so many people that haven't even got a home, and we work with a wonderful doorway, which is part of the thing that you're supporting.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to come back onto that in a minute, because these two things go hand in hand. Your ability to be able to support local initiatives comes from your background, your parents, which is fantastic, but not every successful business person does it. So for me, there's something a little bit more
in the Scandinavian countries. This is really interesting. They have a list each year of who's paid the most tax as an individual. So they actually print it and they publish it, and they are honoured by the country. They are really, really honoured and feted.
That is
and you know what?
About right.
You know what? I think that's a good thing. We had a conversation with some accountants. I won't name them. And this is when we were first setting it 4 or 5 years ago, and their tax specialist came in. And because I used to live in the Channel Islands, they said, look, we can arrange your circumstances so that you can have tax breaks and do this and do that. And we were listening to him for about a quarter of an hour. And at that point, I had to stop him and say, look, I don't think you realise, and I'm not going to be rude, but we really think as a group of people and a company that it's important that we pay our tax.
Yeah.
So actually, if this is about legal tax avoidance, which is legal, then we're not interested, because actually it benefits everybody if we're doing that.
Perfect. I agree with you. And it's a shame that everyone doesn't. Well, they don't.
No, someone's got to set the example. Maybe more people will do.
Yeah, well, that's it. So this is part of why we're doing this in the shop. I love it. Don't you love it when people come in and start playing the piano?
Can we make requests?
We can generally, but this is amazing.
You sing it, I'll play it. No,
I wonder who that person is, because it's really lovely. Isn't it? Great. Sorry, I got distracted. It's enhanced. Okay, so I dig that. I love the nature of what you're talking about with the co-buy. I understand why you support local initiatives, and I totally support the old road and the ethos there, the Winkle Club, the sense of intergenerational community.
Very much.
I mean, you think about it the other day, right? You wander in. I don't know if I'm going to meet you. We ended up spending the whole night together. We got I say young ones. They're all adults, obviously, but who are running our youth theatre, other facilitators, and other people coming around. You know, the journalists from the Economist. So he's got all that.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting when that starts coming out. What he's writing about, that'll be brilliant about Chippenham and all those good things there. However, the cross section of people is fantastic. Now, the Unlock Reset Festival that you and Trax, the lovely Barbara, are supporting us with, is going to be in about, let me think, so it's going to be at the Three Crowns. You ever go to the Three Crowns?
Oh yes, sausage and cheese night, bring it on.
But they're such a beautiful pub, and Linda and her partner, fantastic. But they've got the ukulele orchestra, they've got Junction 17, so and Martin and all the different people that. It's a world in its own, isn't it? And it's a real ale pub. So it's beautiful atmosphere, really good people. So you've got Junction 17 coming out there doing. So that weekend we got all there. Then you got the Cause, got Fred and everyone at the Cause doing their musical cafe. Flying Monks just come on board.
Brilliant.
So Justin. So all your bands that you would normally see, I guess, at the Old Road are going to get a chance to show their wares at loads of different. So we're going to have gigs in here in the Shop, the Social Hub of Positivity, Emery Gate, Chippenham. Do you know that Doorway, the wonderful homeless initiative, recently obtained with the support of all sorts of good people, Stonely or whoever it is, I don't know who did it, refurbed them, just refurbed both upstairs and downstairs. So we're going to help by doing Sunday and Monday, doing concerts in the Citadel. It used to be called the Citadel Hall, but I'm going to make sure I don't call it Citadel Hall, the Citadel Function Room upstairs in the Citadel building, whatever that is. Anyway, where the Citadel used to be, still is. Revo.
They're always good. I like those.
And then we've got, let's see a lot there. And then the Old Road. Will Lawton and the Alchemist are playing Friday night.
Right.
Keep swimming. Saturday. I'm not going to just reel off a list of everyone's playing. But it's the whole bank holiday weekend.
Perfect.
So you've got all those right. Brilliant. Because that's what I was going to say to you, is it would be lovely if we could at least correspond over a beer watching some of the wonderful acts that you and Trax are supporting to actually go on, and I really appreciate that. We've also got the film festival, which conveniently, I try to make everything as convenient. So one thing's based in your local pub, the other's literally down your back alley, sir. Down your back alley, we have got a film festival at your local cinema, real cinema. Couldn't get, basically, I'm not saying you're lazy, but it's like, how far do you think you go? Well, if you do it in John Coles Park, you'll do it. If you do it in the old road, you do it.
That's where Brian's was.
Yeah, exactly. So you go, and the cinema. Yeah, he walks about that far. Although you're a wonderful gardener.
I love my garden.
Yeah.
But my definition of my garden this year, I wanted it to look like a unicorn had vomited a rainbow on it. And you know what? It's nearly there. The colours are amazing. Mental.
Yeah, beautiful. Film festival is the week of the 17th of September. I'll give you all the things, the brochures, what have you. Again, student films and lots of films made by Can-Do and our associates up and down the country.
Great.
So there'll be, but you know, I really can't thank you enough, because it really is people like yourselves. And we have these conversations, and wonderful Brian introduced us, and it's like, oh, wow, it's like, oh, wow.
Well, I'm going to stop you there, because without you and the driving force behind Can-Do, none of this would happen, and people need it. So we are the small bit in the background.
Well,
it's you guys that the driving force.
I guess. I'll take that. Thank you from you.
To help you is an absolute privilege.
Well, here's the thing. From our perspective, and I'm saying it on behalf of all of us, and that's a lovely thing, and I appreciate that. People like yourself are successful business people who could quite obviously like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. How many people do you think are comfortable in Chippenham that don't? I'm not naming any names, but there's all sorts of organisations that are supposed to help fund, and we work with Hardest to Reach, remember. We're not some middle class sort of mamby-pamby theatre group.
Yeah.
We are your real...
Yeah.
So it's a massive relief. It's a massive sense of true support, because whether it's students or some of the young people that we work with, or their families that wouldn't normally have access to any of the arts, because of good people like yourself and Barbara from Tracks, we get the support to enable these things to happen. So from us, it's a definite big one. What you're looking forward to? Lindsay Elliott's played, by the way.
Is he? Very good friend of mine.
Yeah, I know he is. And he's a great musician.
Yeah.
So Friday night, I think he'll probably play a few times over the weekend, because it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. The open mics kicking off on a Sunday night. Brian Reed, big man,
excellent,
back in there. Because that's a big out of the spin. What do you call it? The flow of the month. Having that at the end of the month.
It's always great.
Beautiful, isn't it? So having that back as part of it. How was the pandemic for you then?
You know what? I struggled. So the first one, fine. Garden looked great.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think it hits everybody harder the second time around. The only good thing is I stopped going to London twice a week, which was a flipping nuisance. And now I just get grumpy and say, no, I'm not going.
Yeah.
But the second time around, it was tough. It was this early winter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was tough, but you know, I have great friends who helped me through it, and apparently I helped them. Because that's what you do, isn't it? Community.
Yeah, and this is what the Unlock Festival's about. Yeah. It's actually partly, and this when we wanted to do it with the Chippenham Town Council, we couldn't understand why they didn't get on board, because, let's face it, they weren't, we're key workers, we're out and about. We wanted to use it as a way of honouring all the people. They don't have to have job titles, they could be neighbours, that people would select. We want to do it in the park as well, John Coles Park, and have people, of course they would come up with NHS people, they definitely would, but actually there's so many different people and organisations and neighbours that could just go, I want to give a shout out to that person, because like yourself, I believe in the strength of the community. When you do and you have exemplars, people like yourself who put themselves about to socialise in the locality, but also promote access and opportunity. And people might say, well, you know loads of musicians, so it makes sense to you, but it's like, what about the people that come across this stuff who don't normally see bands, who are now going to see all this music in all these different places in Chippenham because of people like you? It's a big thing. I mean, it might not mean anything to you, but to us, it's kind of like...
Of course it does. To help people at a base level like that, I think we all should do it. And the people that don't do it know they don't do it, and it's their decision. But the world would be a better place if they did.
Oh, bless you. Right, if that's not a good way to end this, am I right? That's a beautiful thing to end it. I'm going to end it on this. Charlie Tedstone, everyone. And you can come to the Unlock Reset Festival from the 27th to the 30th of August in many venues. Look on our Facebook, look on all our public, social, whatever you call that stuff, platforms. You'll see it. TikTok even now, apparently. Ed Deedigan, TikTok, dangerous. That will be on, and then the film festival in the week of September the 17th, Rebecca, at Real Cinemas. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, everyone at Real Cinema. But special thank you to you, Rebecca. You're a wonderful human being. To your parents, to your brother, to everyone, to all your people that got you through your education. You got a distinction in your exams.
Wow.
You're a distinctly great person, and thank you so much. Right, that's the end of that. See you soon, people.